All right. Welcome to this week's episode of Talkin Folk. This is Nick, and today we're talking Jason Isbell's Reunions album. All right, what's going on? I'm here with Joe and Ryan. How you guys doing?
Good, Nick. How you doing?
I didn't really give you guys any heads up of saying hey, you say hi first, you say hi first. So, how you doing, Joe?
Good. Ryan and I just both give each other the nod, like, "Oh, you go. Oh no, I'm gonna go. Okay, I'll go." I'm good,
Yeah,
man.
first three-man pod, so bear with us, people. It's gonna have some
We'll
hitches
be
along the
fine.
way for sure.
We'll be fine, and I'll edit them all out. So maybe it'll be like a 3-minute pod at the end of it. Just edit out all the content. There was the music, and that's it. So today we're talking Reunions by Jason Isbell. Ryan, when did that come out? Like
First week of May.
2 months ago? Yeah. It's a couple months ago, and I think all three of us really like the album. And what I'm excited about is I think we all kind of have different reasons for liking the album and the particular songs that we picked for today. So we're going to go through a few. We got 4 songs teed up for you. One kind of from each of us, and then there was kind of a unanimous pick that we're going to end with that was just for a variety of reasons, just really worth talking about. So the first song I think is probably, I'm going to say, Ryan's baby of the show. I don't know. Would you agree with that, Ryan?
It is. I think I can confidently say that it has become my favorite Jason Isbell song of all time, which is a strong
Really?
take because he has some absolute winners. But
That's-
I love this song.
That is
That's
a
bold.
strong chick. Yeah. That's a crazy statement. So what are we talking?
In terms of Dreamsicle,
Yeah.
yeah. Definitely, I always loved Cover Me Up Live. Always loved Speed Trap Town, 24 Frames, Hudson Commodore. Those are probably my previous top Isabel songs, and this one just does it for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is what is this one, like your nostalgia pick?
I don't I can't. It doesn't really relate to my life, and you'll see.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for that once we get into the thick of the song. But I just kind of love the story that it tells.
Yeah.
I can really visualize it, and we'll see more once we jump into it.
Yeah. All right. So why don't we start playing Dreamsicle, and we'll stop along the way, and we'll kind of see where that takes us. We've got a few songs teed up, so we want to get into it. So here is Dreamsicle by Jason Isbell in the 400 unit.
I guess we're leaving town again. We're moving out, moving in. Gotta break the news to all my friends, but they won't care. They'll just find another face to fall behind, take my place, and run way up past second base and just stand there.
I'm going to pause it there real quick because hitting you early, right?
That second stanza seems so innocent, and is maybe the meanest thing I've ever seen written in a song.
So we were talking about this before. Joe, you didn't play baseball.
No,
Growing
thanks
up.
for reminding me. I was definitely the guy that got sent out way past second base to stand there. I was doing cartwheels in the outfield, not even knowing I was playing baseball.
So I think it's one thing. And we're not going to take this too far into a baseball pod. If you want that, go listen to Talkin Baseball.
Right.
Another John Boy Media production. Big week for them, by the way. So check out some stuff there. But
Yep.
if you're he's talking about his quote unquote friends who clearly are not his friends. If you're playing sandlot baseball and they tell you to go play right field, they A, don't respect you, and B, flat out don't like you. So they don't respect your athletic ability, and B, like you're the last guy on the team that they want to hang out with. Just get out to right field. Don't screw it up. At least if you're bad with no athletic ability, they'll at least let you play like first base or catch or something like that. And this guy's just getting told, go out to right. We don't care.
Yeah. I've been sent out there a few times, but that's for another day.
It's different if you're playing organized and they're coaching you and sending you out there. These are like your buddies and they're like, go play right. Like they are not your friends.
Yeah. All right, we'll get to the chorus here. I know we wanted to stop for that one real quick.
Dreamsicle on a summer night in a folding lawn chair. Witches ring around the moon, better get home soon.
So he's going to repeat that chorus a few times in this song. Maybe that's a good time to stop and talk about the first one. What do you think's going on here? I don't think he's really given the rest of the point of the song away yet. But what's going on here for you, Ryan or Joe? It doesn't matter.
This one, like you were saying, it kind of reminds me of like the chorus, especially reminds me of the movie Sandlot. The scene where like the fireworks are going off. It's the 4th of July. It's a beautiful summer night. And there's so much symbolism that he puts together to make you feel like you're there. And you're like, ooh, I'm sitting on a folding chair, like looking up at the moon, hanging out with my friends.
He hasn't jumped too deep into the like real heaviness of the song, which is coming up. But like he says in the first verse, we're leaving town again, moving out, moving in. Break the news to all my friends, but they won't care. Like it's a little, you get the sense of some sadness, a lot of upheaval in this child's life. And you can get a little sense that the dreamsicle on a summer night, like he's got a little slice of happiness for a few minutes.
Yeah. Would you call it a dreamsicle? I didn't grow up calling that a dreamsicle.
I'm picturing like the orange popsicle, right?
Yeah.
We call it a creamsicle.
Yeah, I called it a creamsicle.
Yeah.
And so did like the orange soda. A&W orange soda, wasn't that a creamsicle?
Yeah.
Cream soda. Yeah.
I think so.
We called it a creamsicle. I think he did it
cool.
on purpose.
Now everybody knows.
Poison ivy, dirty jokes that blew right by me. Mama curling up beside me, crying to herself. Why can't Daddy just come home? Forget whatever he did wrong. He's in a hotel all alone and we need help. A dreamsicle on a summer night in a folding lawn chair. I'm still packing up my room, gotta get home soon. Sneakers on the high school court and you swore you'd be there. A heart breaking through the springtime, breaking in June.
So he just packed a lot in there. Ryan, you were looking like you wanted to touch on it.
Yeah, I think you get to the meat of the song here. You know, sadly, this is a child living in his parents are going through a divorce. So there's a few lines I like a lot in here. You know, you swore you'd be at the high school game. You weren't. You know, he's just getting let down left and right. And It seems that without going, it's tough to read too much into who's right and who's wrong, but it sure seems like Daddy got banished and Mama's hurting.
Yeah. Then the new sneakers on a high school court and you swore you'd be there, whereas like they're both sports analogies in the songs that kind of he's playing with there, but that one's just like, oh shit.
Yeah, that one stings a little bit.
Playing a game. Yeah, the dad was supposed to show up. So the other part that sticks out a little bit is why can't Daddy just come home, which is like probably the sentiment of a 10-year-old or somewhere pretty young but doesn't understand like the dynamics of family stuff yet, or that relationships can break up, and it's like just not adding up. And it's pretty impressive that he can write something like this as like not a, he's 40 years old when he's probably writing this, and he's thinking back to when he was a kid. And actually I know that he has step siblings, so this is probably something that happened to him in his life.
Yeah, it's right about the age I would put this person in the song at, to like 12, around there somewhere.
Yeah. Hey, we'll keep going.
Broken glass and broken vows. I'll be 18 4 years from now, with different friends in a different town. I'll finally be free. Call you both some holiday, tell you why I moved away. Say everything's gonna be okay, then come see me. A dreamsicle on a summer night in a folding.
So he's gonna keep going through this, but he's gonna add one little wrinkle here in the chorus.
Daddy's howling at the moon, better get home soon. Heat lightning in the evening sky, and my mama's red hair. Hearts breaking through the springtime, breaking into June.
So the song kind of fades out there. Joe, what do you, you're kind of the music guy in terms of musical accompaniments, arrangements, and other stuff that we bring on the show. What do you think about the actual composition of the song? Like, it's different from other stuff that I think he's done before.
Yeah, like I listen to a lot more of his solo stuff, to be quite honest. So the 400 unit stuff in general is different. It's a little more put together, a little more polished.
The fiddle, that's Amanda Shires actually playing the fiddle, I'm pretty sure, in the song, in this recording as well. And there's not just this song, in this, throughout the album, there's like some heartbreaking moments that she does like a swell on the fiddle basically to kind of, I don't know,
accentuate
it's like eerie. Yeah, it's like eerie, accentuates it. It's different. Anyway, sorry, we didn't talk about that last verse, Ryan, if you want to touch on
that one. You mentioned the little wrinkle in the chorus, and he does, and this is like a tribute to his songwriting. He makes these little subtle variations in each chorus in the song. And I think the last one really hits home a little bit with Daddy's howling at the moon, better get home soon. And to me, that's a reference to a werewolf, becomes something different, under the full moon. Probably a reference to Daddy likes to have some drinksies. And, once the nighttime hits, all hell breaks loose. That's what I take away from that, unfortunately.
That's interesting. What do you think the red hair part's about?
I think that's just his memory. That is,
Yeah. She's pissed off. Her hair's on fire, basically.
I just heard it as... Go ahead, Joe.
You get the heat lightning part in there too. Like, Daddy's howling at the moon. He's probably hammered, being a madman. There's lightning going off. Like, it's, I think the red hair is kind of like just a symbol of a disaster and panic at home. You're trying to get home to make sure it doesn't happen.
Yeah. See, I didn't read it into that. And now that you guys say it, like, heat lightning, red hair, Daddy's howling at the moon, hearts breaking. It's like he doesn't like change his tone in the song or anything, but the writing certainly changes at the end there to symbolize like chaos and a breakup.
Yeah. Yeah, it's well done. And actually, I think we're covering these. We're going to move to the next song that we're going to do, but we're covering these not exactly in the order that they're on the album. We're doing them just, kind of our picks kind of randomly. But this is the first song that hit after the original single, which is What Have I Done to Help? And I think he's trying to set the tone a little bit. Like, this is going to be about the journeys that I've had in life, my experiences, things that I want to talk about, ups and downs. And I think Dreamsicle is a really interesting up and down, where he's got like the positive of Dreamsicle, like the actual eating the popsicle and like the nostalgia of that, and then what other memories get tied to that age in my life, which is pretty well done.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they're not as happy as sitting there in the lawn chair with the Dreamsicle.
No, exactly. So, all right, let's move to the next one. We're going to talk about River. So, I don't know. Do you want to get into it? Should we hop right into it? Start letting it play?
I think this is a good one, hopefully, for our audience to just dive right into.
All right, here it is.
The river is my savior, 'cause she used to be a cloud. She's happy just to lay there when she used to be so proud. And even when she dries up 1,000 years from now, I'll lay myself beside her and call her name out loud. The river is my savior, only one I'll ever need. Wash my head when I've been sinning, wash my knuckles when they bleed. Protect me from my neighbor, all his jealousy and greed. Take the body to the delta, hide the weapon in the weeds.
We got to pause it there because that's like a huge turn.
Excuse me?
Yeah. It's so crazy how he starts both of these songs. Like, he brings you in, there's so much symbolism. You're thinking it's going to be some happy song about a river or a beautiful night in the summer. And then he just throws in, take the body to the delta, hide the weapons in the weeds. Like, who did you just kill? What happened to this nice song I was listening to?
Just enjoying the sunset by the river, and oh wait, I also have to hide this body.
What is that?
And I think there's something about the melody of the song that hides it. It's like a very quaint, happy, easygoing melody, and then it's like, oh, by the way, take that body to the delta and hide the weapon for me, please. And it's like, what? Excuse me. I thought this was like a nice homage to the earth and how beautiful this river is. And okay, now we got a dead guy.
Yeah, it's a pretty right. Like, what is that? Just 2 lines at the end of that second verse, where he just totally changes the whole aspect of the song. Take the body to the delta, hide the weapon in the weeds. It's pretty stark. All right, let's keep going.
But now I'm tired and a little bit confused regarding what I meant to do and what I did. The men I've hired, they all seem to be afraid of me. They turn their eyes away from me like kids. The river hears my secrets, things I cannot tell a soul, like the children that I've orphaned and the fortune that I stole. The neighbor who asked questions till he washed up on the shore. But I've done the law some favors so nobody has to know.
I'm going to pause it real quick. You know, you actually think about this song, you could think about, if you put in the context of somebody hiding a body and a weapon and all that, and this scene that he's painting. It's also, I kind of picture somebody sitting by the side of the river and thinking, staring out. And if you've ever spent any time just like alone on a beach or by a lake or whatever, and your mind just starts wandering, staring off into that like middle distance out towards the water. This is almost like his internal, it's not his, I don't think, but his internal confession of, you know, this character going through whatever act that he committed, basically, which is a pretty wild way to picture it there. All right, so just go back a little bit. So the river hears my secrets, things I cannot tell a soul, like the children that I've orphaned and the fortune that I stole. I don't know if there's anything else that we need to talk about there, but he's kind of just really now painting the picture of like, this is where he goes and thinks about all the shit that he's done wrong.
This reminds me of The Road to Perdition. It's the same exact story. Like the kid sits in the car and sees the mobster kill a bunch of guys, and they try to kill the kid. a lot of this song reminds me of that whole time period, and a lot of the same symbolism.
And yeah, it reminds you of Road to Perdition. It reminds me of like The Departed and Black Mass, where like Whitey Bulger was for dumping bodies into what's known as the Neponset River, which separates Southie from where Joe actually grew up in Quincy. That thing used to be littered with bodies in like the late 80s. So I don't know. That's just how that's what it brings me to. And I like what you said, Nick, about him using it as a confessional, because it definitely builds that picture as well.
Yeah, there's a loose. This is kind of making a jump, and you'd probably have to ask him directly to know the true answer of it. But there's a loose connection that, in terms of sentiment or tone, to Decoration Day, which is a song that he wrote for. What the fuck's the name of that band? Now I can't remember.
Drive-By Truckers.
Drive-By Truckers, thank you. And he basically wrote that song, which is something that happened between the two families in Alabama, one of which he's a part of. So the Hill family, which is his great uncle or something like that. And he wrote that song from the perspective of the person who got murdered, even though the murderer was his uncle. And you wonder all these years later if he's now writing a song like of the perspective of, the actual person who did the murder. And, maybe it's the confessional on behalf of his uncle. Like you don't know what he's trying to do here, or if he just heard that story or it's always stuck with him. And then now he's just writing a song about it.
Now I'm tired and I just can't get to sleep. I've been awoke from among these sheep for all my life. The lake of fire, it consumes me in my dreams. And last night I woke up screaming at my wife. The river is my savior, she's running to the sea. And to reach her destination is to simply cease to be. And running till you're nothing sounds a lot like being free. So I'll lay myself inside her and I'll let her carry me.
Do you think what I think at the end of that song?
Yeah. If you're thinking what I'm thinking.
Joe, you thinking what we're thinking?
I think I'm thinking what you're thinking, what Ryan's thinking.
Yeah.
So,
He took
I
a
think
dip.
so. Yeah. I'm
Took
pretty
an endless
sure.
dip. Swam with the fishes.
Yeah. I think he killed himself at the end.
It really speaks to the confessional part that you put in there in the beginning, right? It's a perfect way to go.
Is it? Come on.
I mean, for him, right? This has been his confessional his whole life. Well, his whole murdering life.
Right.
And now he gets to go out the way he sent everybody else out. He's over it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's actually debate. Like if you go read any of the interviews about this song in particular and everything, he was asked a couple of times and he doesn't directly answer the question. He kind of like wants it to be ambiguous, which I think is obviously his right as the songwriter. But to me, it says lay myself inside her and I'll let her carry me. Like that seems pretty straightforward. But maybe that's not his intention. Maybe it's something else. So
You could have just wanted to go for a swim.
yeah, he does those little pivots like in the story. Now he's training for some type of swimming event.
A nice triathlon.
Yeah, exactly. Any other thoughts about this song? I mean, I think we picked 4 really uplifting songs. So anything else that you wanted to add there, Ryan?
No, I mean, I think I remember the first time listening to it and I literally was like, wait, what the hell? Like this song just took a turn. And that's the biggest thing. It's got some great shock value. And then I really enjoy the rest of the story from there.
Yeah. How about you, Joe?
Yeah. I'm kind of the same way. I thought it was just a pretty song. And then I dug in more and was like, holy crap, this guy's a murderer. And then he tosses himself in a river. It's it's pretty mind blowing.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just the kind of music that we play on this show a lot, but I find that it takes me like 3 or 4 listens to some of these artists where I'm like, oh, that I like that, how that sounds. You know, you're listening to it kind of casually in the background or something, and then you sit down and pull up the lyrics of the songs, and you're like, holy shit, that has a totally different meaning than something I didn't even hear the first time.
Yeah, I really think the arrangement on that song disguises it for a little while. And then it really opens your eyes to it at the end.
Yeah, it's well done. All right, we're gonna talk about only children next, and this song, I think that there's a maybe an obvious thing that he's talking about, which is as we go through, very literally 2 people, but we were kind of talking before the show, and it might be about himself as well. So I think if you listen to that song all the way through, like from the beginning with that in mind, maybe it'll help you listen to it a certain way, and you can make your own decision, and we could talk about it as we go. So here's Only Children. Here we go.
Walking around at night, fighting my appetite. Every kid in cutoffs could be you. Remember when we used to meet at the bottom of Mobile Street and do what the broken people do? Are you still taking notes? The Holy Ghost could get inside you. You do whatever you put your mind to. Will you read me what you wrote when we were locked outside the building, over encouraged only children?
I'm gonna stop it there since we got a full verse and the chorus there, and it kind of, I think, starts to paint the picture a little bit. But Joe, since you looking more engaged than Ryan does, or ready to speak, what are you thinking here?
This one rings a little more steady in terms of Jason Isbell work for me, right? It's just one guitar, maybe 2 guitars, a nice finger picking melody, and it's just sad. So you know what you're getting into when you walk into this song, which I'm a little more used to. So I love the music in this one.
You know what it reminds me of? The musical arrangement reminds me of If We Were Vampires.
Yeah,
similar.
That's
tone.
Actually really true. Yeah, and this story is really cool. He does such a good job of like painting a picture of when you're a kid, you have nowhere to be, nothing to do. There's no cell phones yet, and I remember going to meet friends, and like you'd knock on their window. You wouldn't call them. You wouldn't even knock on their door. You'd knock on their window, and so like him saying meeting at the bottom of Mobile Street, it just really reminds me of childhood, and I think that's what this story is about his childhood and one of his best friends.
Yeah,
not sure it's quite childhood. I think it's a little maybe late adolescence, early 20s potentially. The reason I was disengaged for a second, I was trying to look up where Mobile Street is, and shocker, it's in Mobile, Alabama. But I didn't really take too. I'm looking at the map right now. I'm not taking too much more away from it than that, unfortunately. I was hoping there'd be something that would stick out a little bit more.
Well, he's from Alabama, so he's famous in a way for writing songs. I mean, this is probably going to sound like it's not giving him enough credit, but writing songs about his life and or things that he's experienced or seen, and maybe fictionalizing them a little bit, or writing loosely around those events to tell the story that he wants to tell. So it wouldn't surprise me if it's very literal, like here's the things that I did with this friend, that or whatever. If they're teenagers, it doesn't really matter. But the one thing that I'll say is that I get hung up on is whether or not Only Children is about being an only child, or the potential double meaning of like, oh, we were only children, like we did all this dumb shit. But you can kind of put that either way. Actually, if you kind of look through the song,
I think you can say it's both. I mean, I don't know for sure, but is he an only child? I know you said he have step siblings, but initially,
yeah, he was an only child for like a while in his life. I think he has.
It could be two only children coming together while only being children.
Right. Which I think is probably makes the most sense based off of pretty much what we're going to go through in some of the subject matter here.
Cold coffee on the fire escape. We bet it all on a demo tape. But we still had something left to steal. Remember when we took too much to get a little of the human touch, hand to mouth and reel to reel. And are you still taking notes? Hydrocodone in your backpack. Maybe these words will hold the beast back. And will you read me what you wrote? The one I said you stole from Dylan, over encouraged only children.
Pause there before he goes into that the next part. But Joe, you and I were kind of looking at each other through a certain line in the chorus there.
The hydrocodone in your backpack line?
Yeah.
That one got me too. In the little section about maybe these words will hold the beast back, that one it's almost reminding me like he's writing it to himself, like looking back, maybe if I remember this, I won't do that again.
Right.
I thought that was really cool. That one got me.
Because I read it differently. I read it as, maybe if I can put my pen to paper right now, I won't want to put, these pills in my mouth or this needle in my arm. If I can just write some poems or write some songs down right now, it'll distract me from that want. And I think the heaviness of the drug here is what also makes me think we're a little later into life. And if you know any of Jason's hopefully, Jesus. Hopefully they're not 13, 14-year-olds carrying hydrocodone in their backpack to school.
Right.
And if you know a little of Isbell's backstory, which, I mean, this is a Talkin Folk pod. If you're coming here, you probably know some of him. He's struggled with addiction in various forms throughout his life. And I believe he's 6 or 7 years clean at this point, which great for you, yeah. Jason, in the unlikelihood you ever listen to this podcast. But yeah,
he was gone long ago. If he did tune in, he was like, "This guy sucked."
Yeah. My one thing is the little stanza before that where he says, "Remember when we took too much?" Is that coming back to like a close call there? Like, oh shit, you guys remember that night? Yeah,
I think so. He says that to get a little of the human touch, like, they always talk about these kind of drugs, like once you start going down that downward spiral, like you need more and more to continue to get feeling, like it's just a way to get some kind of feeling out of your life or whatever, which is pretty sad, but a reality. And the other part that I like here in that verse there is hand to mouth and reel to reel. Like they were making just enough money to get by. Probably paying for their drugs was probably like what they were, and booze or who knows what else they were doing. And then everything else went to trying to make demo tapes. So he's like capturing his, let's just say whatever age, 15, 16 years old, like age in a 2-line thing. It's pretty cool. This is the most gut-wrenching part of the whole song. It's about to, whenever it shows up.
heaven's wasted on the dead. That's what your mama said. And the hearse was idling in the parking lot. She said you thought the world of me, and you were glad to see they finally let me be an astronaut.
I'm actually going to pause it there before his last chorus, because he does the Isbell thing that we already said on the show, where he does a slightly different line in the chorus, and I don't want to like talk over it too much. But that's the funeral. Like, he's at the funeral there and talking to the mom of whatever friend that he was talking to. Now, I'm pretty sure that this was like a real thing that happened to him. But there is debates, or maybe there's a double meaning of where he had left his past life. He's 7 or 8 years recovered. Maybe that's just like he talking about that in like a figurative way, put that in the past and that's dead. But the hearse idling in the parking lot, she said, you thought the world of me, that's pretty direct. But the line that I find really cool is, they finally let me be an astronaut. And basically, like, he became the star and got out of that town, and this person potentially never left and died, and not that that's Jason's fault, obviously, but like, that's the two characters I'm thinking he's trying to paint here, which is like terrible.
Yeah, well said there. I don't have too much more to add to those thoughts.
Yeah, so it's pretty fucked up. Welcome to Talkin Folk.
Castle walls that you can walk through, and do the dead believe in ghosts? Or are you lost in some old building with over-encouraged only children?
So he kind of, the only thing that he changes in that chorus, what I can tell, is just adding with in front of over-encouraged only children. Meaning, is this person the ghost, now just with a bunch of other people who were in that same situation, basically. It's just really well done. And Joe, do you know who the guitarist is from Dire Straits?
Mark Knopfler.
Yeah.
Is it Mark or Frank?
No, it's Mark. It's Mark. Does that chorus sound like a Dire Straits chorus? Or solo?
The solo, I was just thinking that. I think Knopfler played a Strat, because he talked about this. I watched a video of him the other night, and it sounded like he was playing a Strat. It sounded like he was on the bridge pickup. And as he was playing that, I'm like, ooh, that's a cool little solo. I like that little
smooth.
beat. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear like so much Dire Straits in that song.
Yeah, it's good.
I don't think they ever really wrote anything that's that deep, though.
Money for nothing, sex for free.
Sounds deep.
It's pretty deep. I'm actually a Dire Straits fan, but
I am too.
Nothing like that though. All right, last one that we're gonna do is Overseas, and this is like kind of I think we all were like, we got to cover this one for a variety of reasons. There's a lot going on. It's fun in certain parts. The music is fun itself, and then it's pretty deep lyrically. So Ryan, I know like this, I think you said that this was like your favorite song on the album, I think, right?
No, Dreamsicle, but this is catching up on the list as well. I love this song. Yeah, excited to talk about this, and he absolutely rips on the guitar in this song.
All right, so let's get into it. Overseas. Here we go.
the highway died. There's ashes in the swimming pool. I saw you on your wedding night, and I watched you sleeping in my arms. You didn't wash your makeup off, and you woke up looking scared as hell.
And pause it there. Go ahead, Ryan.
I think his verbiage there is really weird. I saw you on your wedding night, and I watched you sleeping in my arms. Your wedding night, but my arms. It's honestly just straight confusing and really makes you. And then it's like, you didn't wash your makeup off. You woke up looking scared as hell. What are you scared as hell over? Like, is it scared that you're now like locked into this relationship? What's the fright? So I don't know. I just like, I saw you on your wedding night. Like, yeah, that line's great. But then it's like, I watched you sleeping in my arms. I was like, on the wedding night? Like, and why didn't you call it our wedding night? And why is it your wedding night? You know, that's so he's definitely playing some tricks with his wording there.
Mm-hmm. I feel like the your wedding night part is like, oh, we didn't share this. And maybe she got hammered and fell asleep in his arms and he was, awake. Like, what the hell happened, right? She didn't wash her makeup off and then woke up and was like, oh my God, I'm married to this guy. Like, I feel like this is the story of like just botched from the get-go marriage and wedding. Could be a shotgun wedding. Who knows?
Yep.
Yeah. I do think that the waking up scared as hell, we haven't talked about the subject yet because I think it really hasn't come to be yet in this song, but there is a sentiment that some people share that this is almost like a political statement of refugees in combination of like a heartbreak song potentially, but also a political statement almost kind of hidden in there. So there might be some kind of like, is this person in a war-torn place, or is this whatever? You don't know what he could be making a statement about, but maybe that's why he's weaved some of that stuff in there. Ashes in the swimming pool, like, things that are kind of hinting at some type of war. But I don't know. We'll keep going.
My love won't change. My love won't change a thing. You're never coming back to me. You're never coming back at all. And the waiter made a young girl cry at the table next to mine tonight. And I know you would have brought him to his knees. But you're overseas.
The first time I heard this song, actually, and this isn't really, I don't think that this is what it is at all, but the first time I heard this song, I heard the term overseas out of place almost, because he says it slowly, and obviously it's the name of the song, and it kind of sticks out. And I was like, I wonder if this is talking about somebody who's home and then their partner of some sort is just overseas, serving in the military or whatever. But Ryan, we were talking about before, like, it stems from a place that he was like a personal thing to him and Amanda Shire's relationship.
And I think it gets, as we continue onwards with the remainder of the song, you see more of the personal aspects of this come into play, and some future words to come. But I think you just feel the longing for this person here. There's certain aspects that they really miss having them there. Would have brought this waiter to his knees for being a little bitch.
Yeah. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
All right.
Doesn't seem so long ago we thought that we could change their minds. we'd stay here and fight it out with a love that we could weaponize. But I saw you losing faith, and I was watching when the light went out. You know what revolution means, and you know it's not an option now.
That is why I do see where people say it's a political statement of some sort. You know what a revolution means. We couldn't change their minds. We'd stay here and fight. I know he still has to get to the part with that you're, probably thinking why they're apart in the first place. But Ryan, what were you gonna say?
And well, I never even considered the political statement aspect of this until you brought it up in our little pre-show huddle. And now that I'm looking at it again from that perspective, he weaves in a lot of words that certainly make you think that he's trying to make a statement of that nature. And the wording seems very particular with fight it out, weaponize, revolution. Maybe making a statement on the unfortunate current climate of affairs we're dealing with.
Well, there's two things, which it could be something about, just like the kind of easy thing to think about would be like a refugee that's stuck in another country, maybe, war-torn Middle East, like just pick a thing that's happened in history recently. But it could also be something where it's like they were living in a certain part of our country and they wanted to leave to go to somewhere else that had beliefs that they aligned with or whatever, and one person went and didn't. So like I think he could be potentially writing like about a bunch of different things in one broad stroke or whatever. It's pretty cool.
Does he ever come out and like, I know he gets asked about a lot of this stuff, but does he ever come out and just really say in an interview what he's talking about? I feel like he keeps all this really close to the chest and doesn't tell anyone what he's thinking.
Trust me, I'm looking for it, and it's not really there. Like other people like us who break it down talk about it more so than anything else. The only things that he talks about are like if it's a song that's, hey, we wrote this because of so and so who passed away, or whatever. But he never really goes into too much of it. I wish he did.
He did a full NPR interview, listen to the album when it came out. And he's more than happy to speak on, as you can see from his Instagram account, more than happy to talk about the musical arrangements or how to play this song, and so on and so forth. But when it comes to the meaning of the lyrics or diving deeper into the lyrics, he often dodges those questions or gives open-ended answers or doesn't directly answer them.
Yeah. Jason, if you ever hear this, I wish you gave me just a little bit more on this overseas. Anyway,
keeping us guessing.
This is a pretty powerful chorus or whatever that comes up right here, that we'll talk about.
And our love won't change. Our love won't change. Our love won't change a thing. I couldn't leave my father here to finish up his life alone.
So that was a quick stop, but I think that kind of tells why this person is left here.
And he does more wordplay there. In the first chorus, it's my love won't change, my love won't change. The second chorus, it becomes our love won't change, our love won't change. So it's like more, changes in the wording there to, is it a team sport? Is it not a team sport?
Right.
He seems to go back and forth on that aspect of it.
Yeah. And then I couldn't leave my father here to finish up his life alone. So that's what's keeping him or this character or whatever grounded in whatever place he's at, and where his significant other's somewhere else.
Yeah, and I think this is where it becomes a little bit more of a personal story to him, because I hear like I've read when looking up the song that Amanda did kind of her first worldwide endeavor that he wasn't fully a part of because of he had an ill father and a young daughter, and couldn't fully partake in. And I believe, if you want to listen to the rumor mill, and this is all alleged, but there was some strain on their relationship in the recent making of this album during that time frame. So, by all accounts, everything seems good now, and knock on wood, that continues to be the case. But, every couple has their ups and downs. And for someone who, has such a great creative outlet as Jason Isbell, they might choose to jot it down and write it out.
Yeah, why not?
I have to wonder if they ever talk about that before he releases it, right? Like, does he give her a heads up, or she must know this is coming, and they must have this conversation before, right? If this is really about their marriage on the rocks, I wonder, that conversation must be insane before you release this album.
And she sings backup on this song, she clearly had some type of involvement or knew the content of it to a degree. I think I don't know. I mean, my wife and I are not she plays a good piano, but my wife and I are not overly creative. So I don't know if there's something different in the marriage agreement when you're marrying two musicians, but
fair point.
Yeah, well, everything's fair game all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is a pretty good line, and then we're gonna get into a absolutely killer guitar solo.
And I saw you in her daughter's eyes last night when she caught me in a lie. And I need you here to make both of us believe. But you're overseas.
So he goes for a while, and Joe, you were texting Ryan and I last night, and you're like, we were all re-listening to these songs to get ready for this episode today, and you're like, I forgot how good of a guitar player he is.
He is just so smooth. He does so many cool little things too, like at the beginning of this solo, he does those little slides up the neck, like Blake Mills does those a lot, and it's just, he's got I feel like he's just got every trick in his bag, and he makes them all sound so effortless. It's mind-blowing. The other part that I love for guitar in this song is when in the chorus, when it says "My love won't change," when he does that, it sounds like a 18-wheeler downshifting, that little whammy bar section. The first time I heard that, I was like, what is that? What is he doing? Until I watched the video, I didn't figure it out at first, and that's just a super cool little sound that he makes.
And he made a point of mentioning that he does his, and this is obviously I know nothing, but he does his pickups at a different point on the bridge and the neck, and a lot of different stuff that goes into even just the rhythm sections of the song. Never mind the solo. It's really cool. He did a recent Instagram post specifically on how he plays this song and the settings he uses and the guitar he uses. So if you're an avid guitar player and you're looking for a piece to try and practice, that's out there for you.
What's crazy is he's like a studio quality musician in terms of, somebody who would sit in and just play a studio set, but he's writing all these songs. He's singing really well. How he does all these and bottles them all together with the level of songwriting he's doing is, we talked about this. It's why he's the kind of top of this genre, right? Folk, southern rock, any of that genre, he's the top of the game right now, for all those reasons. He's got one more chorus here, which he does directly say the word refugee to kind of end the song, which I think is kind of interesting.
Does your heart rest easy where you are? And do they treat you like a star? Or do they call you refugee from overseas?
Oh, and then he decides to do another solo.
To kind of put the cherry on top of that discussion we were just kind of having, like, for my money, there's no better combination of songwriter and guitar player out there in any genre that I frequently listen to, and that includes, the love of my life, Chris Stapleton. So I think Stapleton's got him beat vocally, but I think lyrically you give it to Isbell, and I think on the guitar you give it to Isbell. So,
Like, who else can make you cry with an acoustic song, but then just melt your face off? Maybe Taylor Goldsmith, but he's not the same.
It's
He's
different.
not quite as smooth.
It's different on the guitar, especially.
and like you think guitar, you think like Gary Clark, you think Marcus King, but they don't have quite the songwriting. They're not even in the same class songwriting wise. They're there to play the guitar, and they mix in some words. And Isbell does it all.
Right. There's something about Isbell's life too that, I don't want to discredit his ability to write these songs, but he's been through so much and I'm happy that all of us couldn't be more happy that he's come through the other side, and he's a, by all accounts, healthy, sober person who struggled with all those things. But, he's been through so many things, and all the themes on the albums are about building yourself up, breaking yourself down, the heartbreak, the sorrow, like all these different things that, like, unfortunately, it's better for us. Like, as bad as that sounds, like he was experienced all these things so that he can now tell stories about them. And I think that there's so many artists who want to tell stories like this, but don't really know what it's like, and then can't tell the same, level of detail that he can. So it's pretty unique.
I mean, well, isn't that the goal of life, to learn and grow from mistakes and past experiences? And we're just lucky enough to share in that growth with Isbell.
Yeah. Yeah. And he, luckily enough, learned how to write songs at the same time. That's what I read about Decoration Day, was he heard the story, which we talked about before. He heard the story when he was like 17 or 18 from a family member, and the way that he phrased it, he was like, his mom or somebody told him the story about his great uncle who murdered this other guy and whatnot, and he was like, yeah, she made the mistake of telling me when I was learning how to write songs, and then I wrote the song. And he was still like 19 when that song came out or something. Like, he just put it immediately to paper and started writing chords to go with it, and like, he just knew how to do it, or just could figure out how to do it. It's pretty crazy. Anyway, I think that's an episode, gentlemen.
First 3-man pod. We got through it. I think we did all right.
We did all right.
We
did all right. It's hard. It's, doing it over Zoom's hard. I wish we could all just be in the room together, just kicking each other, saying, you go next. But here we are, 2020.
Maybe we can do a back porch sesh at some point.
Ooh. We could sit by the pool. Idea. Might be nice, Ryan. I'm in. Did I just invite myself over?
You might have.
Sounds great.
All right, guys.
Notice I didn't reciprocate the invite.
All right, guys. We'll catch you later.
See you guys.
All right. See you, man.
See ya. Bye.